The main reason I think the deal can't turn out well for the U.S. is the Chinese are not going to do what we want on intellectual property. There are complicated reasons for that. There's some simple reasons that are tied to the president's tweets. The Chinese don't want an agreement that says they've done anything wrong to now. They deny they're stealing intellectual property. They deny they're coercing American firms. They deny the cyber theft. That's ridiculous, and it shows you what the value of the text of the deal would be. That makes it very difficult for the president to aggressively say this is going to be a change, it's going to be a big improvement for the U.S., when the Chinese want a deal text that says they didn't do anything wrong in the first place.
So if the
Therefore, we get a tariff threat.
Sure. And so if what you're saying is that there's no way to really make the Chinese admit to wrongdoing or come to the table to correct it, then if this is an issue that needs recourse, is the only recourse left tariffs? And if so, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of tariffs. In that same piece you were citing, I said I'd rather sanction the Chinese firms that are benefiting from IP theft. Tariffs sanction everybody. So I think that's a mistake. But I do think we need a tool in hand, not just the Chinese promising that they'll do better, wink, wink, because they never did anything wrong in the first place. The one advantage of the president threatening all these tariffs is we need that. We need a threat. We need an enforcement threat for this deal to have any value. So tariffs are not the right threat, but the fact is when you're dealing with China and their IP behavior, you do need a threat of some sort.
Sanctions are an interesting idea. Has that ever gotten any traction in Washington? And is there any example we can point to when we're possibly talking about thousands of firms needing that sanction and a law that requires joint ventures? I can see that the administration's point that, hey, this would be better resolved by simply having China change the rules so that it doesn't mean that so many firms are participating in this behavior.
Well, if China changed the rules on joint ventures, they just found another way to coerce American firms. IP transfer to them, involuntary and voluntary, is extremely important. And changing a law in China doesn't bind the Communist Party. So I don't think that's the way to go. We're considering export control regulations. Obviously, there's some in industry that are worried that they'd be too tight. But that's another way of telling American firms, you cannot transfer this technology. It doesn't matter what the Chinese say. So that would be, in my opinion, if done properly, better than tariffs as well, because it, again, targets the firms involved.
So the Derek Scissors approach, which is interesting, is to combine sanctions on the firms. I assume you mean the specific firms in China, or maybe some individuals who are found to have committed wrongdoing, combine sanctions with export controls on the U.S., where it's, and we might be talking about firms from semiconductors to car manufacturers to anybody who has sensitive technology, and telling them they can't do business in China?
Well, obviously, the big challenge on export controls is everybody agrees we should have export controls on the important technology, and then parentheses, but not on mine if I want to sell it to the Chinese. So you have a challenge with industry there. But as a tool in general, export controls get right at the problem, whereas tariffs, as I said, punish everyone. So I would like to at least try export controls. Let's see what these regulations that are due from the administration look like. That would be a tool to deal with the U.S. side. With the Chinese side, you're going to have to punish these firms, or it's a no-lose situation for them to try to steal technology.